We are live. So while we're waiting for some other people to join us, I'll just do a quick introduction to myself and to the workshop, just what we're going to be running through today. So my name is Martin Heyman. I've been in the SEO game for about 16 years. I'm the co-founder of RankCaddy, and I'm the author of The Organic Advantage, which was a #1 bestseller in multiple categories on Amazon. That looks like that, if you ever want to check that out. But in this session, we're going to look at some easy strategies to really make a difference in rankings. Search Console and analytics are gold mines of data, especially Search Console, but most of the people I know, they just use it to check the direction of the graph. And, you know, whereas they're looking to see, oh, have things gone up? Have they gone down? Are they steady? And you might not be one of those people, but these people are really missing out on tons of opportunities just sitting there in their own data. So I'm going to run through 7 ways to find opportunities and quick wins that are just sitting there in your own data. So I'm going to be showing you all of this using Google Search Console. I will give you a quick glimpse of RankCaddy at the end because it just makes it so much easier to not only view your Search Console and analytics data together, but also to find these types of opportunities and quick wins. But let's start with Search Console. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully you can see this okay. I'll pop myself down there to make that a bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to be running through this checklist, and I'll give you the link at the end as well, and there's a QR code as well if you just want to point your phone at the screen. But I'll share this with you at the end. You don't need to enter your email or anything. It's just a link straight to the doc. Just make a copy of it so you've got your own copy. So I'll share this with you at the end, but we're going to be running through these 7 filtering options that can give you these opportunities and quick wins within Search Console. So the first one we're going to be looking at is high impressions, low click-through rate. And this is one that you might have heard of before, so I thought I'd get this one out the way first. But these are pages that are getting impressions, but they have low click-through rates. So they're being seen in search results, but not as many people as you'd expect are clicking on them. So we want to look at why do these pages have low click-through rates? And we want to look at the keywords driving impressions to these pages and investigate which of these keywords are driving those low CTRs. So I'll show you an example. So if we head on over to Search Console, there's a couple of ways you can filter in Search Console. One is with the filtering up here, and this lets you filter these tabs here. And then you can filter these columns using this option here. So in this case, we want to be looking at things with kind of lower than average click-through rates. Now, something like RankCaddy would work this all out for you, what is classed as a low click-through rate. In this case, as we're just using Search Console, we just need to look at a sample and get an idea of, okay, for our site, what is a low click-through rate? So we can have a little look through these. In this case, I am going to look at everything that is smaller than, let's go below 1.5% click-through rate. Okay, done. So we now have things that have got pretty poor click-through rates. There's one that jumps out here, which is this one here, Best Dog Gate, which, let's order this by impressions actually. Yeah, so it's right at the top. So it has high impressions. So it's been seen a lot. It's got an okay average position as well, actually, but the click-through rate is terrible. So if we dig into this, we click here, we then have to click over to the queries tab. And let's just expand that out a bit. Let's go 50. So we have these terms here. We can see a lot of these have really bad click-through rates. Now, the first thing we need to do is think about intent. It might be that actually some of these keywords we're never going to rank that great for anyway. So something like dog gates, yeah, we're not in a bad position, but actually, if we do a search for dog gates, and I actually checked this earlier, let me just open this. If you do a search for dog gates, it's very much e-commerce intent. So we've got shopping results, we've got an e-commerce site, e-commerce, more shopping results, e-commerce, it's all e-commerce. So it's very unlikely we're going to rank for something like dog gates with a page that's about, it's a best of guide. So it's a best dog gates page. However, when we get to things like best dog gates, this is still a really poor click-through rate. We probably should be ranking for that, and we should be driving clicks when it is being seen. So, you know, this isn't the best average position, but you are going to see some that are, you know, in decent positions. They're relevant keywords. They have a really poor click-through rate. And sometimes just by improving what people are seeing in those search results, so just by improving the title tags and the meta descriptions, and it may be that there's no meta description there. Google are just pulling in what they feel like pulling in, and it doesn't look great. If we can improve those title tags and meta descriptions, sometimes you can see instant uplifts in traffic just by changing things like that. So this is something you should definitely look at, and this is potentially a really, really quick win. Okay, I'm just going to reset these filters and go back to pages. And let's look at next on the list. So next we have content improvements and rewrites. And this is kind of on the other end of the scale, really. This is looking at pages that are doing poorly, pages that aren't really ranking, but they are seeing impressions. So it might be that actually these pages need a bit more of a bigger overhaul, or if they're ranking really badly, it might be that actually that they just need completely rewriting. So again, first we need to check the intent of the page to make sure the intent is right, and then start thinking about how you can make it better. And the easiest way to do that is to just check what's already ranking. So search for some of those terms, look at what's already ranking, and can you make your content better than what's already ranking there? And this is where some people fall over. They look at their content and they'll think, yeah, it's up there. It would do, you know, it's good enough. But is it really good enough? Think about what else can I pull into this page? What other information can I use that the others aren't using, but that even if it takes a bit of work that I can get hold of? What other multimedia can I use? How can I make this page easier to use, easier to read, more useful than these other pages, and really try to make it better than what's already on page one? But in terms of finding these opportunities, I'll show you an example of this as well. So we're looking for things that aren't ranking well. So I'm going to use this filter again and go position this time. And I am going to look at everything with an average position greater than, let's go 50. Okay, so we have this page at the top, which has, you know, okay impressions, especially for this site. This is decent. This is just a test site, but this is good impressions for this if you compare it to everything else. However, the average position is pretty poor. So let's have a little look at this one. And it's worth just having a look at the queries just to see, again, make sure intent's right, what's ranking for what and in what position. Again, there are some here like hypoallergenic dog food, which is probably e-commerce intent. So this likely isn't going to rank. That's maybe why that's so low. But some of these other ones with best at the beginning, ideally we'd want to be ranking for these terms because that's exactly what this page is about, but they're not doing great. Some of them are kind of low hanging fruit. So it might be the fact that some of these are low hanging fruit. It might be that it doesn't need a complete rewrite. It just needs a bit of an overhaul. It just needs improving. If all of these were really, really poor, then I'd maybe even say, do you know what? Throw it in the bin. Let's just start again and try and make something awesome. But it's likely if you run this search that you've got all of these pages that are performing poorly, and it's just a bit of a waste. It's a wasted opportunity. So it makes sense to run this every now and again and just see, okay, what's performing poorly? What are opportunities? They're being seen, they're being shown impressions, but the average rank is really poor. How can we make this better and start driving more traffic to this page? So that's another potential quick win there. Okay, Next on the list, we have page drops. So similar to that last one, let's just reset this and go back to pages. In this case, we want to look at over a certain period. So we're looking at 3 months in this case, but we might want to look at 30 days. It depends how often we're doing this. We want to look at, okay, what has fallen off the most in that period? So if we click on this date range, we want to look at compare, and let's look at the last 3 months compared to the previous period. Let's apply that. And if we scroll down, you'll see we have this click difference option here. So I'm going to click that, and you can see everything that's climbed, but we want to click it again and look at everything that's fallen. So again, it's test site. It's not big numbers. You might see bigger than numbers than this. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's all up, but probably not. You're likely to see stuff in here. And you may notice actually that the hypoallergenic post is up again there. So that's dropped off. It's not huge numbers, but as a percentage of what it was, it's quite high. So that's fallen off. So again, an indicator that this is something we might want to look at. For some reason, Google doesn't like that as much as it used to. It's fallen off from where it was. We need to look at improving that. And, you know, again, we need to think about how can we make this page better? We might need to improve internal linking, improve the anchor text. We might even want to look at backlinks and whether they'd help. But how do we turn this number around and start improving this page? And I would probably always start with the content, improving the content. Okay, on to the next one. We have keywords not in content. Now, you notice here I said you can't do this in Google Search Console. This is something you can look for the opportunities in Search Console. It's a one-click option in RankCaddy, but there's a bit more manual work if you're just using Search Console, and I'll show you why. So let's look at an example. So we just need to reset this actually. Let's go over to here, just look at the last 3 months. And there we go. Okay, so let's look for a best of page we can use. So let's use this one, best retractable dog lead, and flick over to queries again. So we have a few hundred queries driving impressions to this page. However, we don't know which of these we're talking about loads on the page. Are we talking about all of these things? Now, in RankCaddy, it will tell you if these are actually mentioned exactly in the content, but it might be that actually, you know, we are talking about anti-chew, but just not in this exact way. But the way it does it in RankCaddy is a bit of a shortcut to just filtering by the ones that aren't mentioned exactly, whereas with Search Console, we just have to go through all of them. But the tip I'll give here is just look for the ones that you think might be useful or relevant, especially if you've written the content yourself. You might know which ones haven't been mentioned. But what we want to do here is look through and see, have we spoken about all of these things within the topic of that page? So have we actually, in this retractable dog leads page, have we spoken about chew-proof dog leads? Have we spoken about certain lengths? Have we spoken about strong ones or heavy duty ones? Have we spoken about the longest retractable dog leads? So it might be that we want to put new sections in here and have subsections of the best heavy duty retractable dog leads, the longest ones, broken out by length maybe. So this can help us really expand on that content and make it better. And I was actually talking to an agency owner last year. So it's before the recent Google updates. I haven't spoken to him since, but I know last year he was seeing great success with his clients just from doing this. He was doing a lot of this, improving all their content based on this kind of filter and what wasn't being spoken about within the content. And yeah, he was seeing really good results from it. So it's still definitely worth looking at this because this can be a really, really quick win again. Okay, next on the list, we have low-hanging fruit. Now, when people normally think about low-hanging fruit, for those of you, by the way, who don't know what I mean by low-hanging fruit, that's normally the stuff that's ranking say positions 4 to 20 or 30. So it's the stuff that's nearly there, and it just needs an extra bump to get it driving more traffic. Now, when people normally think about low-hanging fruit, they normally look at their rank tracker. So we have the same sort of thing in Rank Caddy. There's a rank tracker. There's a one-click option for the low-hanging fruit. However, it's also useful to look at this within your Search Console data, because Search Console has everything query-wise, keyword-wise, whereas your rank tracking likely doesn't. So you're likely to find loads more opportunities within Search Console than you would just from using your rank tracker. And I would recommend using both, because your rank tracking is more accurate to the point where you check it, whereas average rank is a bit skewed because it's over a longer period of time. But it's well worth looking at these as well. So if we just dive in and look at an example, I just need to reset these filters. Let's stay on the queries tab and look at the low-hanging fruit keywords. So let's filter by position. Unfortunately, within Search Console, you can't do between certain numbers. So I'm just going to have to use smaller than, let's go 30 in this case. And you'll see that we have, some twos and, there may be some twos and ones in there. I wouldn't really class those as low hanging fruit. We've got a 1.9 there. I wouldn't class those as low hanging fruit. So I'm looking for the kind of 4, 5s and upwards up to 30. So using Search Console, we'd have to ignore some of these. But what we're looking for is, terms that are in low hanging fruit positions. How can we improve the content to start giving those a bit of a bump? Again, there may be other things we can do alongside the content, things like internal linking improvements, anchor text improvements. It might even just be that we could improve the title tags and meta descriptions. Again, we might want to think about backlinks and things like that. But yeah, there's potentially huge amounts of opportunities in here as well. You can see this is normally quite a long list of low-hanging fruit keywords. Okay, next on the list, we have long tail keywords. Now, again, this is a one-click option in Rank Caddy, but if you're going to do this in Search Console, you need to use regex. But as I said, I'll share this doc with you at the end, so you can just copy and paste this, but you just need to grab this bit of regex, and let's just clear this filter. And then what you need to do is we want to this time filter by the queries tab. So we're going to filter up here by query. And then instead of queries containing, we're going to use custom regex and then just paste that in there and apply that. And what this will do is it will look at keywords that you're showing impressions for that are more than 3 words. And the chances are these keywords are normally easier to rank for as they're much less competitive. And if you're already showing impressions for these, you just then need to think about how you can capitalize on those opportunities. So are they relevant to the page that's currently showing impressions? If so, can you work that keyword into the content or the topic a bit better? Or it may be that actually it's not relevant to the page, but it is relevant to your business. So it actually warrants creating a new page for that long tail keyword. So again, there's tons of opportunities in here. I'll just show you what this looks like. So apply this. You then get all these longer tail terms. One of the best performing pages on this site is about your dog pooping on the bed. So I'm just going to remove that keyword. So let's go queries and does not contain poop. Can't believe I'm writing this. And there we go. So it's a bit less skewed now. So we've got all these long tail opportunities that we can then start digging into and seeing, okay, is the right page ranking? One of the frustrating things about Search Console, which you may have found if you use Search Console much, is you can't see the URL next to the keyword. You can see this in Rank Caddy, but within Search Console, you have to do a bit of clicking around. So for example, I have to click on this keyword. It then filters by just that keyword. Then I have to go pages. Then I can see the page. The problem now is if I now go back to queries, I've just got that query. If I clear this filter, it just wipes everything I've done and starts me from scratch. So you have to actually use the back button on the browser to get back to where you were, to there. So really frustrating. It's been like that forever. But yeah, slightly annoying, but let's just roll with it for now. Okay, so that's long tail. The next one we have is, and this is the last of the 7 actually, and then we have a bonus one, is questions that aren't ranking. Again, we need a bit of regex here. So I'm just going to copy that and then paste that in here. And this is looking at all the keywords that, again, we're showing impressions for, that have who, what, why, where, when, and so on. And again, your site is appearing for these questions, but we're going to look at the ones that aren't necessarily ranking well. So again, check the page that's ranking, make sure it's the right page that should be ranking for that term. And does the page answer that question? You might be able to integrate that question a bit better onto the page. Or again, as with the long tail keywords, it might be that that question isn't answered on that page, but it is relevant to your business. And actually, it either needs to be answered on that page, or it warrants its own page altogether, or a different topic that then answers that question. So just to show you an example, let's apply that. And let's look at the things that aren't ranking great. So let's filter the position by anything greater than, let's go 30. And then you can see, I'm seeing these poop and pee ones again, apologies. But you can now see that we've got tons of questions that we can then start digging into and looking at the page. Okay, is this answered on the page? If not, should it be, or should it be on a different page? So again, potentially loads of quick wins there. The bonus one I just wanted to show you, and I put this as a bonus one because you can't actually see this in Search Console. This is more of a GA4 one, so Google Analytics, and this is high bounce rate or low engagement rate. So they're the opposites these days. So I'll explain this a bit further. So the engagement rate is the percentage of engaged sessions on your website, and the bounce rate these days is the opposite of engagement rate. So the bounce rate is a percentage of sessions that were not engaged. And an engaged session in GA4 is classed as either a session that lasts longer than 10 seconds, a session that has 2 or more page views, or a session that has a key event. And a key event might be a conversion, it might be a video view, it might be one of the default events in analytics. So it could be a scroll. So for example, scroll is now a default event in GA4. And if someone scrolls more than 90% of the page, then that triggers the scroll event. So that would be classed as an engaged session. So it's worth having a look at these low, high bounce rate, low engagement rate pages. And there's a number of things you can do to help improve that engagement rate. So things like better CTAs, so better call to action, maybe better internal linking. So you might want to keep people going through that journey on your site, and better internal linking can help do that. You might want to have more or better multimedia, so video content, more relevant visuals, stuff like that. And you may want to not put people off viewing the rest of the page. So you might want to remove clutter, like the overuse of things like banner ads and things like that. So there's loads of things you can do to improve the engagement rate on the page. So I thought that was worth adding as a bonus one. Before I show you how to get access to this sheet, I just wanted to show you just how things are different on Rank Caddy. So I'll just show you a few of these. This will be much quicker. So I'll just show you a few of the examples we ran through. So in Rank Caddy, there's you've got some standard features like rank tracking. Insights is something a little bit different. So with Data Dive, we found all these opportunities using your data. With rank tracking, we also find other opportunities. We then pull all of those into this Insights feature. And you can toggle on the email option as well. And you can have those emailed to you every week. So you can see the kind of highlights, the ups and downs, and the opportunities and quick wins without even having to log into this, just by getting those insights emails. And then there's a few other things like flexible email alerts, investigate, which is like a task area I'll show you in a moment, and content and keywords, which is keyword research and content ideation and topic cluster planning area, which is very different to other tools as well. But I just sort of mention those. The thing I'm concerned with today that I really want to show you is Data Dive, because this is where you get a blend of Search Console and analytics data. And before I even scroll down and start looking at the actual data, it just makes it really easy just to view things in a simple format as well. So for example, here I've got comparisons turned on. I'm just going to turn that off. If I want to blend data, combine data, and just look at things like, okay, what's the average position compared with organic sessions over 30 days? I can really easily get to that in seconds just by flicking across these filters and turning things on and off. I can go back to 90 days. I can look at impressions alongside organic sessions from analytics. I can compare. So it just makes it really easy to view everything. But then we've also got this search and opportunities filters option. And if I turn that on, some of these may look familiar. So these are some of the things we've been running through. So for example, I can look at high impressions, low click-through rates. And I just hit play. I get some tips on how to deal with that. And then I can start digging into those. So you can see that we've got the best dog gate one there. And unlike Search Console, where you have to flick back and forth between tabs, if I want to dig into something, I just click the binoculars. I get all the keyword data. I get page reports as well, which I can run. And that will show me, okay, is this term mentioned in the title tag, in the content? What's the current title tag, and so on. And really easy to use. I can start tracking those. I mentioned the investigate area. If I see something that's interesting that I want someone to integrate into content or look into a bit further, I can just add that as a task. So really easy to use. And then I just close that and then on to the next one. So no flicking back between tabs and turning filters on and off and things like that. So I can run through some of these filters. We've got the content improvements and rewrites one I mentioned. Again, some tips here. We've got the hypoallergenic dog food one there, so we can start digging into that. We've got page climbs and drops. So that was one of the ones we mentioned. Let's look at what's dropped over time. So we can see what has dropped and start digging into those. So really easy to kind of use this. I also mentioned keywords not in content, and so I just thought I'd show you that in here as well. So I think I used this one for that, didn't I, when I showed you an example? So retractable dog lead. So if I just open that, we've got those terms that you saw in Search Console, but I've also got these filters up here, and I can filter these keywords further. So I can now go keywords not in content, and I get the list of keywords that aren't actually in the content, and I can start digging into, okay, are we actually talking about chew-proof dog leads? If not, maybe we should. And I can start integrating some of these into the content. Something else worth looking at quickly is you can view things by URL or keyword. When you're looking at things by keyword, you do, in this case, get the URL aligned with the keywords, unlike in Search Console. And if I want to dig into this URL further, rather than having to flick back and forth, again, I just click the binoculars and I can start investigating that page further. If I click on search and opportunity filters, you'll notice that some of these are different to what was in the URL area. And we've got things like our low-hanging fruit. So I can run that, see the low-hanging fruit opportunities. We've got the long tail keywords. We've got popular keywords, one I didn't mention in the checklist. Questions, so I can click on this one, just look at the questions, and there's a few others here as well. So we've got loads of quick wins and opportunities. We may even add to this at some point as we discover new clever ways of finding these kind of quick wins. But yeah, that's it for now, really. I'll just show you how to access the sheet, or the doc rather. Oh, by the way, something I forgot to mention, with Rank Caddy, it's normally a 14-day trial. If you sign up for a 14-day trial and you do want to give it a go, when you come to select a subscription, if you choose the, there's a little link in there that says, have you got a discount code? If you click on that and just use trial 30, you'll get an extended Rank Caddy trial. So if you want an extended trial, just sign up for a normal trial, use that as the in the discount code area. And yeah, I'd love to hear what you think. If you've got any feedback, any questions, anything like that, just let me know. And if you want access to this checklist, you can either grab your phones now and just scan that QR code. Hopefully you can see that okay. Or you can go to that bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/GSC for Google Search Console, GSC checklist. So you can get that there. If you have any questions about all of this, please feel free to contact me on the main social channels. So you can contact me on like Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Or if you'd rather pop me an email, feel free to email me at martin@rankcaddy.io. And yeah, just any questions or feedback, anything like that, just get in touch. I really hope you got value from this. Please let me know what you think, but I really hope it helps, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.